Okay. This is welcome to the membership committee. I always like to say it's like the grants committee. Everybody that goes to a grants committee is now part of the grants. Uh, com Anyone who goes to a grants meeting is part of the grants committee. And so it's pretty similar to the membership committee, but we will still continue to have the membership forums. In fact, I'm going to send out a reminder probably tomorrow. It'll be next Tuesday at 10. That is going to be more of a forum. It's going to be more conversation. It's going to be coming from it as um, the answers in the room. It's an exchange of best practices. A lot of you have been to those. This committee has a different kind of a mindset, a different kind of focus. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's almost evening, so we get about 15 minutes of it in the valley. But anyway, so welcome everybody here. So let's talk a little bit. First of all, if you can rename yourself to let you know where you're from. Sometimes it's nice when people are talking on these things to understand what area of the district you are. Like I see Mike from Lakeview and Mike Corwin from Sisters, Crystal from Florence, Mike Hewitt from Gold Beach, Joe from my old alma mater, Greater Albany, and Marisa and Diane from Newport, and of course Carrie from Springfield. Nice work.
Delta Rotary.
Delta Rotary. I'm sorry, Carrie. I got 99% of it right. Anyway, so the introduction to today's committee is what I would like to bring to the club today is some ideas of what I would like to start. And I'd like to start it before the year's over, and I want some input from everybody if possible. So I welcome any conversation, any and all conversations. You are all professionals in not only your fields, but with Rotary. And so the idea is I could spend an hour talking about some of the horror stories that I have experienced over the last year when it comes to the communication between membership chairs in the district and RI. They're not a terrible thing. It's just a lot of oops. So I feel that one of the best ways that we can increase membership within a district is to build on the communication between our training, between zone, how we talk to the membership chairs, how our membership chairs know what is available when it comes to some of the solutions, some of the tools, some of the processes. We are a very bottom-up management, bottom-up servant leadership at the district. We're here to serve the clubs, but sometimes the clubs don't always know what we have to offer. So my goal is to get as much of the communication, and that will be an underlying strength that we're going to look at when it comes to how this committee makes decisions. All of you get to make decisions about how we address the committee moving forward. And I would love to get some of your opinions and direction on this. So as everybody here on the call, are they aware of what's called MAPS, the Membership Action Plan programs?
Nope, I'm not.
Okay. No, Joe is.
Diane is not.
Okay. Well, that is a good question. And I'm working with John Chase. As a district membership chair, I get it. And I will probably on either the next meeting or during the forums, I will probably share my screen and show you how that works. It is another database because we all need another database in Rotary. But it is designed specifically for growth and attrition rate and attraction rate of clubs. I've been told that your AG has the ability to download that, and I've sent a letter to DG Nelson as well as to Joe talking about whether we can talk with the AGs to make sure they do have that information available. Until then, I'm not the holder of the great secret, but I will share anything when it comes to membership with any club that asks. But MAPS is a software off of DACDB. You can download it right off of DACDB. Most membership chairs should have access to it, and assistant governors have access to it. And those of you that have sat on my forums before, aware of the fact that the worksheets make you very well aware, in boldface, the how we lose members. And what I mean by that is last year our club did a fantastic job, and we added 389 members. Problem is, we lost 465 members, and they don't go away once a month. They go away normally. I call it the purge, but normally when your treasurer sits down at July 1 and has to write that check when it comes to dues. And that's when suddenly a club that thinks they're gaining 8 members suddenly loses 10. The good news is we lost 76 members, but it was only a 2.7% attrition rate, when the North America is experiencing a 9.3. Well, in fact, I think those numbers are old. It might even be higher than that, close to a 10% attrition rate. Globally, we're actually growing Rotary, but in North America, we are still suffering from that attrition rate. So this committee is here.
Hey, so Bruce, those numbers are those district numbers you're referring to?
These are district numbers right off of maps.
Cool. I thought you just said club, so I was just clarifying. I thought you said club numbers, not district
These
numbers.
are the clubs. This is the combined, all 61 clubs across the board.
So on average, each club took 1 or 2 member loss, right?
So we are, well, depends on the club, Kerry. There are some clubs that are growing, and we want to grow from those experiences. And there are some clubs that are losing members fairly significantly. The good news is if you even that out upon the 2,746 members in our district, it is only a 2.7% attrition rate. Problem is we're gaining at about 13.7, and we can talk about that worksheet, which is actually a fairly strong number. I mean, from a membership chair point, 13.7%, excuse me, 13.7% attraction rate is actually a very strong attraction rate. But when it's coupled with a 16.4% attrition rate, it's a lot of work. And we lose some members, some great members that we really need to pay attention to. And this always happens in December, normally January 1. So Tuesday's meeting will be focused on the engagement of those members. Jerry Kasanovich made a very good, I'll get to you in a second here, Mike.
Okay.
Kasanovich made a very good example. He goes, when he was doing his visioning plan and he was talking in front of our club, and he goes, if you really want to know how you're engaging your members, those of you that have badges, look back at your box and see how many badges are still in the box at each club. And that was a startling revelation for me, because I look back and there was a lot of badges that were sitting in those boxes and they weren't being worn. And that's going to tell you, just if somebody ever came up to you and said, we don't know how to start our engagement project, I say, well, I can give you a list of people you might want to talk to right away. It's very evident. So this software, and I will probably try to send you some examples on this thing. It's a rabbit hole because it's information, and I love to go through it. And so I will probably not bring it up at this meeting. Some of the zone training, we talk about it in detail, and I do have a call into John Chase, one of our coordinators, on when we're going to have that next zone meeting. And I can't give you that information today. So what I put down is the first thing we need to do with our membership chairs is to create an awareness. So in the membership agenda, we talked about some of the ways that we can create awareness with our Rotary Club membership chairs. I'm taking a quick pause, and the reason I do that is the fact that our membership chairs need to be recorded in DAC-DB. That's how we talk. I do not want to send 800 emails to everybody and fall on deaf ears. If we want to go straight to the membership chairs, we really want to make sure they're in DAC-DB correctly. And I've walked into many clubs that do not have that membership titled assigned to them in DAC-DB. And that database is only as good as the information we put in it. So this is my quick little, let's make sure that's correct. Here's a good one for you. The next thing I would like to put out here is, has anybody heard of growrotary.com or .org? Growrotary.org.
Nope.
If you go to growrotary.org, and it'll ask you to log on, and that is your RI password and user ID. That is a heat map, and it will put you anywhere. If you go up to the legend and put in District 5110, well, I got to put in Zone 27 first. For those of you that don't know, we are in Zone 27 and District 5110. It will give you every Rotary club in our district, and it will give you the population, and it will give you populations of surrounding clubs. And we will need that information for identifying new clubs, maybe distressed clubs, and it is done by demographics, and it is another neat software. And I will post every one of these in the minutes from this meeting to all of you with links. So you don't have to go too crazy, but it's an easy one. growrotary.org. It'll ask for a username and a password. That is your RI login, not your DACDB login, your RI login and your password. So to create awareness, these are things that help us to view our district. I would like to present to the committee some of my ideas, what we need to do when it comes to building membership. And Mike Hewitt and I have talked about this pretty strongly, and I would like to propose your thoughts of what it would take to create a 4-hour training session in an area. Perfect example, as I said earlier at the beginning of the meeting, might be Sharon down in Wairika and Montague. And that area is where, just like a visioning plan, and for those of you that are not aware of a visioning plan, Dr. Jerry Kasanovich, from the Greater Corvallis Club. He's a past district governor, does a visioning plan. He'll do it for any club that wishes, and he'll show up, and it's about a 4 to 5 hour process. And he goes all the way down from culture. He drills down to the culture of the club on up. And he does exactly what I'd said earlier. He finds out what that club is made of and what that club wants to do and how it wants to grow. And then he explains how to build on that. So I would like to do that with membership. As I was saying earlier, I was talking to Rick Fuller down there, and if he would like, I would like to, my original thoughts were to put this around the AGs. If I walked down to Rick and said, Rick, can you get some people from 3 or 4 of your clubs to spend an afternoon, either during the week? Joe and I will be doing Lebanon next Tuesday, as a matter of fact. And so that's a middle of the week, a 1 to 5, I believe, Joe. And we'll both be experiencing that firsthand. And I would like to do something like that in the membership side, because I feel that most of our information is passed better or more well received when it's done in person.
Bruce, this is Diane.
Yes, Diane.
We had Jerry come to our club last summer, and he did a visioning session. It was really, really good.
Fantastic. Good. Thank you for the praise on that, Diane. Mike, I forgot you had raised your hand. Did you have something to comment real quick? Did you want to add to it? You're on mute.
No, I wanted to ask a question. So I was writing down the percentages. I noted that the Rotary North America has a 10% attrition rate compared to the 2.7% attrition rate in our district. And there was one more number that you mentioned, which I think was 13.7, but I didn't catch the significance of that number. Or did I get it wrong?
Nope, you got it perfect. I'm just thinking to myself whether I should have posted. I normally post the worksheets on our forums. And what happens is with the worksheet, every club has their attrition and attraction data, and that is individualized to that club. Right. And that will tell you what your attraction rate is and what your attrition rate is. And it's put together in a very, very well-read format. And we had the ability last year in the 2023 to 24 year, we had an attrition rate. We gained 389 new members, which was a 13.7% increase in new members.
In the district.
In the district. This is 61 clubs. There was 62, but Bend, High Desert, poor Walt Schloor, did I get that right, Mike? Passed away. And his wife, they ended up closing the club. Regardless of that, the point is, but we did not engage 465 members. So we gained 389 with a input of 13.7. And the reason I dwell on that is because we would prefer to see an attraction rate of over 10%. So at 13.7%, our clubs are actually doing a pretty good job on the whole of gaining members. Problem is we lost 465 members.
Got it.
And
Thanks.
that was 16.4%. So we're above the norm, but all that means is our hot air balloon is sinking slower than everyone else's. So really happy with that.
Thank you.
And being
Chris, is there ever a year when Rotary talks about, wow, we gained 1% this year? Because since I've been a member for the last 15 years, it seems like we're always talking about how many we're losing. And if we're losing that many, it seems like we'd be way, below the 1.2 million members or whatever we had.
Well, first of all, it's an international company. And so internationally, we are growing very quickly in India, in areas around the world. It is the North American zones that are bleeding members. It is not that we don't have the ability to attract members. We are a revolving door. So we have to look at the way that back door goes in. We're looking at everything coming in the door, and we're not looking at how we are engaging our members.
How are we compared to zone? Are we up or down compared to zone?
Zone has 30 districts, and we are less down than others. There are some districts that have had increases, but as a total, we are probably in the top 10% of the zone out of the 30 districts. But my feeling is my goal this year is I would love to see what we can do to get positive numbers. So I feel we need to do dramatic change. We cannot hit our head against the wall and keep expecting things to change without doing something proactive. My comment is I have a minimal budget at best, but I don't care. My goal is to talk to the people in this room and other people. And I think we should be able to have the ability to assemble 4 geographic locations. We should be able to do a South. We should be able to do a mid-state, a North, and a Central Oregon. And we should be able to visit those areas. I would love to be like RLI. I'd love to do 4 times a year. And then you literally rotate it through. And it may be different clubs, but that is based on engaging our assistant governors. They are the best understanding of which clubs. I can tell you right now, Mike can probably tell you which clubs are doing well and which clubs need help in his area at the top of his head. So these are things that we need to be able to address, because what we're doing is just what you said, Krista. We're talking about it, but we're not really hands-on. But what I have found, though, is the district membership chairs are trying to talk to the club membership chairs, and a lot of club membership chairs are just placeholders. They put a name there. I mean, I watched a channel come through on a lead, and it went to the membership chair, then it went to the president, and then within about 2 or 3 emails later, everybody dropped off, and it was the president chasing this new lead. And I went, your president's going to get very tired very fast if he doesn't engage some of the rest of his clubs, helping him with bringing in people. We're all ambassadors. So this is why I am, for the lack of better, beating it to death. So what I want tonight is I'm looking to start a conversation with training. We have a learning center that we don't engage. We have district membership chairs that may or may not be either placeholders. And don't get me wrong, there's some really, really active membership chairs, and they are worth their weight in gold. So I don't want to feel that is I don't want to be negative towards it. I'm just saying that sometimes there's a lot of presidents that are picking up the slack, and they may be treasurers, secretaries, and membership chairs all at the same time. Carrie, sitting on this call right now, is doing a very, very active job in Eugene Metro, right? Because I called it Springfield earlier. Anyway, so
Actually, Eugene Delta, sorry.
I'm 0 for 3, aren't I there, Carrie?
So we have 5 inductions. We've already done this club year. We have another one to schedule. And we have a shot to add 10 new members this year.
That's an extremely good goal.
We're in exactly the same position here in Florence. We've already had 5 inductions. I introduced one to the board today, so that'll be 6.
Fantastic. And so this is not a bleak situation. This is normally what I know on my CLA or my RL classes. My comment has always been, it's not something we have to beat ourselves up. People change, life changes, they move, their situation changes, they have grandkids, they have children, they may work at home. People change. Jobs. So we have to adapt to that change. And it's more than it's ever been. We're changing now. We could talk half the hour on just, do we plug in our phones anymore? Do we have, we didn't create the internet. Did we use Zoom 20 years ago? Did we charge our batteries? Did we even have GPS? You're talking to a man that ran a delivery company on a phone. We had no idea what GPS and laptops were. And so it's just how we deal with our business world, let alone our social life, has changed dramatically, and how we communicate.
We had one who had to move away suddenly 2 weeks ago. So she didn't know she was leaving. And
it just happens,
and we're sad about that. On the other hand, I had a really nice conversation with a woman today who's been on leave and who's had a job change, and she's had a bunch of stuff going on in her life that has made things difficult for her to attend Rotary. But I talked to her today, and she's coming next week, and she's ending her leave, and she's changing her job, but she's still coming back.
Fantastic.
So I think communication is paramount.
Mm-hmm.
I have told our club many times that everybody in the club is on the membership committee.
Yep.
Even though I only have 3 of us, everybody is on the membership committee. So, when somebody brings something, we have a talk with them right there immediately after the meeting to get them. So
I already know who I'm picking when we have a class on the coast, Crystal. Get your facilitator shoes on. The idea is during this committee there is some content. What do you guys think of the idea? Mike, what do you think? Mr. Corwin, do you think that'll pass muster? Do you think it's something that people would entertain in the district?
Oh, I do. I think regionalizing it to where there's not a whole lot of travel involved, or even making Zoom available for each meeting would be valuable.
I think we could do a hybrid without too much issue. I think the district has an owl and it has the ability to do that.
But I think your key was the earlier comment that we have to know who the membership chairs are for each club, and be able to get that e-list started and get that communication going, and hear what their goals are. Hear that you not only know who it is, but who the membership, what he's doing, what his goal is. Does he even have a goal from the president? We need that information and need the accountability that he's going to do something as the membership chair.
That's a good point.
Hey, Bruce, I think that training would be good not only for membership chairs, but membership committee people and general membership, because you might have general membership referring new people to the club, and if they know some of these tools, maybe that would help them as well as get more, sponsor more members.
You bet. Joe, you had your hand up. You're on mute, buddy.
Yeah, just curious. I haven't gone back into DACDB and looked, but do we have a list of membership committee chairs and club membership committee chairs?
Okay. We have a list of club membership chairs, and it changes. Ironically, it does change, and it might be as high as 59 and it might be as low as 47. But every club, it would be nice to have listed a membership chair that actually we can communicate with. My question is, at RLI, we used to have a magic number of 20 to 25 people that we wanted to show up. But you're talking about bringing in several facilitators overnight. By putting this down to a one-day travel, and looking at regional facilitators as well as myself. I'm going into a DG nominee year and then district governor. But that doesn't mean that I would ever lose that passion for membership. And I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very excited that you've got two governors coming into the line, myself and Chris Waugh, both membership chairs, but both have an adamant passion towards applying membership back into the district, which it may or may not have been before. And that's no disrespect to the district governors in the past, because they've all had more than their share of important things to be dealing with. I'm just saying this is what our values are going to be going into this line. And I want to carry that in by putting together a membership chair committee that's going to help make decisions about. I mean, do you know who makes the decision on the membership criteria and curriculum for CLA?
Nope.
No one knows. They don't. No one knows. RLI has a specific membership from RLI, which we are going back to, but it used to be membership chairs that put our slide decks together, and we would put on a presentation, and they would change and morph, and it would change and everything else. We have no standardized level of. Now, Amy and Gary Plano are looking. She is the district leadership chair, training facility chair, is looking to change that. But what I'm saying is I feel that through this committee today, and moving forward, we should have a platform where we discuss the curriculum for membership, and we should be able to push it forward. Good idea? Bad idea? I see some head nods, but okay. Sharon, you're being very, very quiet. What you thinking back there in Montague?
Just listening and trying to figure out curriculum chair.
No. Amy Walsh, as past district governor, is the training
chair
facilitator. She's the Joe, help me out on this. She is they changed the title. She used to be the education chair, but then it became learning chair, and then it became learning chair facilitator. She helps Gary with the RLI, and she is the PETS facilitator, curriculum facilitator as well. And I know Mike Corwin, Mike McGowan is a facilitator at PETS as well. So we got some pretty good people that might be able to help. What I'm talking about is the three things that we need to do as a committee is we need to put emphasis on getting the membership chairs on board through the district, making them feel whole. I think we need to look at growing clubs, but we need to look at getting the clubs that are consolidated back. If you had an area where clubs have consolidated, that means the area at one time can handle that process. And we may have lost them through pandemic. Maybe it could have been culture changes. But if we had a place that had the ability to sustain 90 members between three clubs, and now we have one club doing 40 members, that would lead itself to grow clubs. Because you know who grows clubs? Clubs grow clubs. That's what they do. That is, I mean, district can give you advice, district can work with training, district can do everything, but it's still, everything happens at the club level. So our goal is to support the clubs as best we can. But the more clubs we have, the better potential we have for strengthening our membership. Quick pause while I'm at it. Anybody have anything to add real quick? I don't want to. I know I'm monopolizing this meeting, but I would prefer not to. Joe,
Yeah, do you have any examples of clubs that have consolidated?
Roseburg,
Oh, yeah, right.
they
Goose Bay.
Coos Bay. There are many. Um, Sue Van Volkenberg told me that when they consolidated clubs, they lost 30 members almost overnight because they changed the times of the meeting from a Thursday to a Friday. I'm going to send you some links on a really neat video from RI called Anytown. And it talks about how Anytown and how when you change the effect that it has when you change things like meeting dates and venues and things of those nature. And it's very impactful. My feeling is I would like to start down maybe in Northern California. And if could, the idea is what's a fair approximation of you think people could come through? So I guess my two-part question is A, what day of the week would be best to try to put a 4-hour presentation together for a club? I immediately went to Saturday, but we're doing a visioning process on a Tuesday. Where
I know that our club meets on Tuesdays at 7. The next club over, Wairika, meets at Wednesdays at noon. And I think the Shasta Valley one meets at, I'm not sure what day, but oh God, 30. It's like 7 a.m. in the morning. So I think the basic difference between our clubs is when people could get to it. And
Well, you have a pretty rural community down there.
yeah. More cows than people. If I could put cows in the Rotary, I'd have a really big club.
Well, that might be something to adapt to in the future there, Sharon. My feeling though is what I'm looking for is in order for us to be effective, we want to have as many people attend as possible.
Yeah.
Now, is that number 5, 10, or 20? I think if I walked in a room, there were 15 people that were willing to make membership a priority. I think that's a pretty strong push for a certain area. If my feeling is we can't, not everybody can go to pets. You get one president and they have to learn 3,700 things all in 3 days. And membership doesn't always happen. They come back and all of a sudden they have to worry about getting a treasurer or secretary, or heaven forbid, they have some sort of crisis management they have to deal with. So suddenly membership becomes low on the totem pole. So we need to try to figure out how to get to other people in our district and show them not only how important it is, but how effective they can be with a certain curriculum that we can provide.
I think it needs to be on a Saturday, as you say. That's my first blush too, just in the fact that if you want people in person and be able to look them in the eye and truly interact, it's going to be on a weekend. You're not going to grab a 4-hour, late night in a weekday. Yep. I know over here in Central Oregon, you're talking about not a long distance within Deschutes, but if you're going to bring them from other counties in our Eastern Oregon area, they're not going to come for anything but a Saturday.
Yeah.
Especially at this time of the year, it is dark. As soon as it gets to be 6 o'clock, people are going, "Oh, it's bedtime." It's not that. And you want people that are usually working during the week.
No, Sharon, you're absolutely correct. At 7:30, I'm sitting there yawning, going, "What the heck happened?"
It's dark, isn't it? Midnight yet? Oh my God!
During the summer, I'm out raking, doing something out in the yard till 9 o'clock at night. Now it's 7:30. I'm already looking at the clock. But my go-to time is the things that we want to consider on this thing is travel time, as Mike said. So my original thoughts were put something together at like 9 in the morning. So people have the ability to get up and be able to travel. Give them a 9. If we can do a 4-hour, that's 1. So what we can do is we can put together something very minimal, because we got to keep the cost down for the rest of the year. I have a very minimal budget with Nelson, but Chris has a budget that's going to be much, much more healthier. And I have a feeling my budget's going to be much, much healthier as well. So the point though is we put together some sort of provided lunch, whether it's something minimal from a sandwich shop, something that we can put together. We'd love to see if we can get the venue free. I'd love to see if you have a meeting place that we could have on a Saturday that will let us come in. We need meeting. We need to have AV. Mike is Mike Hewitt, who's being very quiet, by the way, Mike, has an unbelievable venue with the American Legion in Port Orford. That might be a great place to bring in, people from anywhere from Bandon, but Brookings, Gold Beach, and that side of it. Crystal, and this is where I'm looking at AGs for some sort of help, because they're going to know clubs and maybe club presidents, but they're going to know venues. So if we can get a place that has where I can hook up a computer and give us 4 hours with some chairs to sit on, and some sort of maybe a meal that we could have 12:31, we can get them on the road at 1 o'clock, and then they can travel back to wherever they came from. Because if we stick within the regional areas of the assistant governors, the clubs are normally pretty close, with the exception of Mr.
Florence
McGinn.
wasn't, because when I was AG, I had, Lincoln City and Newport and Toledo. So when I had to go to a 7 o'clock meeting, I was leaving my house at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I won and lost a very good argument, because my wife used to think that Lincoln City was very, very close. She used to think that you could get from Albany to Coos Bay and back in one day. And that's about a 6.5 hour round trip. And I won that argument and got in real trouble anyway, because I won that argument, which means, yes, there are going to be travel concerns. If we can go central located, my rule of thumb is to never be more than about an hour to an hour and a half away from the venue, if possible, for the furthest person. We'll have to make some allowances on that. But the idea is so they can get up, they can make it, be awake. Coffee hasn't worn off yet. Give them a little bit of food halfway through the day so they don't starve to death, but not enough that they fall asleep, and then leave
I think
them.
the other consideration besides, venue and location is lots of warning.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to some membership meetings a long time ago when I was president, and we really had to talk it up. We really had to, whip the whipped cream, so to speak, to get people interested in wanting to spend 4 hours of their Saturday.
Yeah, we used to call that selling the sizzle.
Yeah. Well, you need time to do that.
Well, if we can limit it to 4, and weather does play a factor on the Willamette Valley back, we know that, things over the hill. There's a very big hill between Mike Corwin and Albany, and there's a lot of big hills all the way over. And Sharon, I think, it's just her and the cows for pretty much after December. Though actually I disagree. I-5, they do a great job of keeping I-5 open. But anyway, the point though is there will always be a concern. But if you're looking at 4 and we rotate, we should be able to get at least a month to 2 months worth of pre-warning marketing advertisement, because that's something I haven't brought up yet, which is in the notes, but we're looking at time, and that is PI. We got to get public image on top of this. It's no good having something if we don't tell people what we're doing. And those people in public image can be pretty hard-headed, I tell you.
Bruce?
I know. I know where she's pointing. She's off screen, but I'm being good. That's Judy Corwin, by the way. PI making a. Yes, sir.
Bruce?
Yes, sir.
This is Mike Hewitt.
Hi, Mike Hewitt.
So, yeah, I've been quiet, but I think it's time for me to step in here a little bit.
I think it is too.
You've got a great idea here in that we've talked about this and having some regional meetings, and I've offered like the American Legion Hall, and we can put those together, and it's a Zoom room and all of that. But I think we have to back up and look at what are we bringing. And, we have, as a committee, we have a lot of work to do to work on what are we going to actually tell people, and what is it we're bringing to the table for them so that they can go back and actually do that job. And my observation is this. Number one is we have to go back to basics. And back to basics is from the fact that how did Paul Harris grow Rotary? And Paul Harris grew Rotary, one Rotarian at a time, by personally inviting people to come to Rotary. And he encouraged other people to do the same thing. And he didn't have social media, and he didn't have television, and he didn't have all the things that we have today. They went out one by one, and look where our organization got. You know, we call it 1.2, 1.4, whatever million people, but we didn't grow it. I guess I have concerns today. Really think about, we put it on social media. We're not reaching the individual. We're reaching a society that says, oh yeah, that's nice, but it doesn't really reach out and grab them. What reaches out, and where we're successful in Port Orford, and we put two brand new members on a week ago, and we have another new member this year, and we're probably gonna make 5 or 6, but we're losing some this year. Wait, I just got notice that we're losing 2 40-year Rotarians. They've turned 80, and they just are saying, you know, our time is up. It's time for new people to move forward, and we're going to go on with our lives to do other things, grandkids, like you were talking before. But we as a committee, if we're going to do this, we've got to go back to basics. I mean, a sports team, when they're failed, they go back to basics. They go back to the energy that got them how to play the sport or how to play the game. And I really think if we're going to take this on the road to do that, we've got to come up with a real plan that shows these people how to go out. I mean, I know, and I listened here, you know, that how do people that are successful, and look at Florence, I'm listening to, I personally invited them. I went and talked with them. And here you go. That's what we have to teach, in my view, to membership chairs or club presidents or to whatever. You can't put, I've got a past president just put out the 4-way test as an encouragement for people to join Rotary. How well is that going to go over? I mean, is that an encouragement? I mean, it's a great document. Don't get me wrong. It's a great way to live, and I live by it, but it's not going to encourage your neighbor to become a Rotarian or a fellow business person to become a Rotarian. So I put the onus on us to come up with some kind of plan that puts us back with the face-to-face or the personal contact and a way to teach people to do that. That's the tough part. How do you teach people to go out on the street or identify their club culture and who can be potential members? Look around your own town, your own city, however it is. But I've given you my, support and my time and my effort to work towards this kind of a goal. And so I open it up to anybody else to say, where can we go?
Mike, Mr. McGowan.
Yeah, so you have just a couple of minutes left on the clock, Bruce, but I wanted to share something that was that's very specific that our club did last weekend that I think was really meaningful in a membership capacity. And it started with an outreach from the president of Carey's Club, Eugene Delta, who's the head
you
of,
get it right.
Yeah, who's the head of the Red Cross down there, right, Carey?
Correct. She just went to North Carolina and
Yeah.
worked on their weather problems back there.
Well, she also came to Lakeview last weekend, last Saturday, one of the very few, and she spent about well, not including drive time from Eugene, which is 4.5 hours or 5 hours or more each way. She spent, the better part of the day with us, and because she had a program that Red Cross offered that said, hey, if if Rotary will partner with us, we will donate new smoke alarms to be installed in houses. And we'll come in and we'll train your members as a service project how to install those alarms. And then you get to go out into the community and offer something for free that's very worthwhile, especially in an older community like ours. So we went out and we had, I think, 9 Rotarians from our club of 40. And we involved the local fire department and first responders to do a joint project with us. And we went out and we installed these things all over town. We made tons of new friends. We reminded people that we already knew. It's a small town. People know each other. We reminded people that we're an action organization, that there are projects that are available. People had good feelings about us coming into their home and putting smoke alarms and educating them because we had been trained by the fire department the first part of that morning. So it's a really positive, proactive way to spend, a Saturday morning. I'm not saying that your training program is not also valuable. This is just different. And
Well, wait till you see what our program is about then.
yeah, I mean, I think that you need to find ways to engage, because one of the things that I find is that if we don't engage especially our new members, our younger members, give them something to actually do hands-on projects, then they fall away because it's not the kind of organization that they want to join. So just wanted to share that with you.
No, thank you very much, Michael. I want to get Sharon, but I do have some comments to both you and Mike's that I want to get out very quickly before we end. But go ahead, Sharon, please.
No, I was just going to say, you know what you might want to think of, and or of these things you want to do throughout the state. You could also do something that you put out to the public saying, we're doing this on a certain day. It's not just for Rotarians, but we're doing this on a certain day. Look and do your social media. Look what the Rotary's done. You should really look at Rotary. Be aware of Rotary, wear the Rotary. It's a lot of people don't realize that, like my dad with Masons, you had to be invited into the Masons. So they don't think of Rotary. They just think of, well, it's something that's there and it's the big. And
well, that's a very good point. I agree with you. What I'm talking about is there is a 2.5-hour program that's put together by zone that is extremely good. And you can build with 4. The idea is to build breakout sessions. But before I go too far into that, we're here to learn. And this is going to evolve. So mistakes may happen, but I think we have to step out. I analyze things to the point of where I don't get as much done. In fact, Chris Waugh gets mad at me because I will spend more time thinking about how to do it than I will do it. And so her theory was get out and get it done. I feel that what's going to happen is we have not done a very good job as a district communicating with the clubs. I think we need to start seeing those clubs one-on-one, and I think a district governor visit once a year is not enough. I think the AGs are very, very powerful people. I've been one twice. Mike, I don't even want to count. Mike's been one about 132 times, Mike. I'm being good. I'm being funny, Mike. The point, though, is we have people that are very good at what they do. So what I would like to do is you put a program together and you sit down in breakout groups, and it might be something as simplistic as a vocational list. I believe in vocational lists. They're not meant to exclude people. They're meant to show you places to look. So if you sit in there as a club and sit down and go, who have we asked? Who have we talked to? If you put a vocational list and literally sit down for 10 to 15 minutes in your community, you will come up with at least 2 to 3 people that you should have already gone out and engaged in Rotary. I think this committee is designed to take good practices. If there are things that are engaging, we're here to talk to these people about everything from venues, how they look at their venues, everything to look at their programs. Are their programs inviting? What are programs that are available? We're here to help them think about what they can do as a club to become more successful. We talk about their culture. Cultures have changed. Think about it. When was the first baby boomer born? I'm going to go with about 45, if I remember right, about 1945. So we've been through baby boomers. Rotary's been through Gen Xers. We've been through millennials. We've been through all of these different, generations, and we survived. So we just adapt as these. I mean, we're teaching. I mean, I'm looking at my grandchildren, and the world they were raised in is so much different than the world their parents were raised in, and the world that I was raised in. And so we have to learn that those differences and how we communicate with these people will be different. So as we start these programs and as we get input, we grow. We listen to these people. We may do some silly things at first, but you know what? We're going to be there and they're going to know we've been there. And so we change. If we know something that works, we do more of that. If we do something that isn't effective, then we come back as a committee and we discuss it. My feeling is there is a lot of, I think it's very interesting right now. We've talked about a lot of breakout groups. People like to discuss. It's the way adults learn. But I actually had 30 district governors tell me in a meeting that they actually prefer an instructional type of meeting. They want to know what they don't know. So I think there's going to be a lot of different understanding. So this is going to grow. The idea is to just start. And it is my promise to start now. It's winter time for me. Okay. As I said earlier, I was raised in Spokane. Snow doesn't stop me. It does make me think twice now as I get older. But the idea is we have to just say, okay, you know what? Maybe we're going to do something in December and we're going to put together a program and we're going to try it at a club. And if it goes really wrong, we're going to sit in there and we're going to talk about it. We're going to bring up what was positive. And we are going to put out everything from exit surveys. I love exit surveys with the exception of the point we only talk at exit surveys after they've left. Why don't we talk about exit surveys before they leave? My biggest recommendation to all of you that are doing great is watch that back door, because come January 1, you're going to see 10 people leave that you didn't expect. Look at those badges that are still in the box and start asking questions. Hey, what can we do to retain? In business, we always look about bringing in new customers, but we always forget not many people understand the cost of retaining a customer. And we all know what it costs to get a new customer, but we forget how much it costs to keep a customer. And that's where we are at right now. Is we do a great job bringing them in the door. What we're not doing is we're not listening to the people that we have here. So part of our training is to look at that. Part of our training is to look at forcing the clubs to think about membership up front. As Mike said, we want to think about people we should make sure that are part of our club. Do we have that, that city manager that could help us with community projects? Do we do enough community projects? There are some clubs that may not. Some of my warmest thoughts of Rotary is community projects. Some of my aha moments are grants meetings. But the point, though, is
Hey, Bruce, can I jump in real quick?
You bet.
So talking about surveys, you're talking about exit surveys. I'm actually doing a new member survey for new members coming in. They complete that about the same time they do their member application. And then depending on their interest levels, I forward that over to our committee directors and say, hey, here's John Smith that wants to do whatever area. Here's another person to add to your group. That way we try and get them rolling and get plugged in right away.
I agree. The one thing we haven't talked tonight, we will be talking about, and that's Rotaract, Interact. We're going to talk about satellite clubs, and we're going to talk about corporates. These are all additional areas of growth that we are underestimating right now, and every one of those is about change. Every one of those is listening to who is coming in the front door, and we have to listen to who's going out that back door and finding that balance. We want to make our clubs vibrant. We used to use that term, inviting. People don't always remember what you say, but they do remember how you make them feel. So when they walk into your club, we want to make sure that these people understand that they're going to be looking at you as an outsider. And we have to start thinking and being aware of making sure these people feel welcome. We are pretty much out of time. Does anybody have anything to add for the good of the order? You've listened to me way too long, and I thank you very much. That's an awful cutie you got on your lap there, Mike.
This is my great granddaughter, Amelia.
Hi, Amelia.
Well, that's the new generation of Rotary right there. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Say
Absolutely. Okay, I will put together, I have a recording of this. I will put together an after action comments to you that's going to include some links to some videos, some links to Rotary.org, some links to some other things we've discussed. But this meeting here is what I'm looking for is if we want to we want to talk about distressed clubs because eventually we want to use this as a platform for viewing clubs that maybe we should be doing better or maybe we can help. Maybe they've come to us. Maybe we should approach the AGs saying, out of your territories, which do you feel? We want to do, and heaven forbid we use that word needs assessment. We want to be able to go in and look at clubs and do what they need us to do rather than what we think they should do, because we are a servant type of leadership. And that's our goal, is to come in, find out how we can help. And I feel that we can put together a very robust 4-hour program, which has a lot of input. It's designed 2.5 hours worth of material and another hour and a half to do nothing but discuss how we actually apply that out in our areas. And every club is different. Every area is different. And so we have to make sure that we're adapting to those areas. And it could be include vision plans. So please read your agendas all the way through, because it's not really an agenda. It's a platform of material that I think we should recover. Email me if you have some things, tomorrow morning you have a thought and you went, holy moly, I forgot to say something. Please let me know, because I have a new commitment. I've found a new direction, and this is something that I really want to get going very, very quickly.
Bruce, you did a great job of the first section here, and we approached training quite a bit. The new club growth will speak for itself, but I would like to take that last list maybe at our next meeting and really go after each one of those just like an agenda.
Yep.
One of the things that struck me that isn't maybe here that struck us, and we've started a whole new program just because we lost one fairly new member. She signed up about 3-4 months ago here in Sisters, and she left, and we asked her why, and she goes, nobody talked to me. No, there was no networking. I came to this group and that's one of the things that we take our pride in. We are a group that only meets twice a month, first and third Tuesdays, which makes it less onerous than every week for every Rotarian to try to attend. We don't have meals. And yet now we've taken, even though 12-1, people still come with their stomachs growling. And thus we go into Sisters from Aspen Lakes, catch a beer and a meal together. Maybe 15 of the 25 that are showing up to the meeting.
You bet.
Total membership 40. And it's with a beer. It's a whole lot less formal for the meal. And the opportunity to network and talk about much more than Rotary. Yes, that's a drastic thing. To eliminate meals, all of a sudden that quarterly payment to your club is less than $1,000 annually. It really we only pay $300 a year for membership in our club, $75 a quarter.
And that's something that moving forward we're going to have to address. The costs. How do we make this affordable at the same time we have the ability to do good in our communities, and how we deal with those costs?
And one of the last things I'll mention is that just because we lost that member because she wasn't approached and she didn't build any friendships in her first 2 months and quit after 60 days is a mentor program. Just because we lost that one member because of what she told us afterwards, we've got a mentor program now to where every new member within the last 2 years will have somebody that has been with us longer than that, and will attach and introduce and be a friend, or catch them for coffee every quarter, that type of thing.
Well, I like your cardstock idea, Mike. I use that. And here's a perfect example of something we should be working on in the future. Yes, actually, I might make a trip over there, because an AG asked me today, actually a couple days ago, if we had any literature to hand out to new possible candidates. Yeah. And the district doesn't. I have a lot of PDFs. I have a lot of literature. I have some great onboarding, which we talk about onboarding. And I agree with you. I hate losing members that come in that have made the point to coming into our club, and we just didn't do a good job. And so we talk about that. But the point is we need to start putting together some sort of literature that have options. Perfect example, when I was working for a different franchise type of person in a different environment, we had literature that was pre-templated, and we used to write in our address, and we used to have comments. We used to be able to format it very quickly, and it would go straight to the publisher. It would go straight to the printer, and it would show up in a week. And I don't think Rotary has that. And so I think we need to consider how we can do that. And we'll probably work with our PI people because we get lost in the electronics, because that's a good way to be. But there are some times where people want that something in their hand when they walk away with. And that might be something that we work with, because we haven't even talked about the interaction between some of the other chairs and how we work with youth services and how we work with public image and how we work with Interact and Rotaract. But again, we have a very large stone that we need to start rolling. And all it takes is one person to stand in front of the stone and then grab some friends, and hopefully we can get a little bit more on board. And don't think next meeting that we're going to leave you alone, Marisa, because you are going to have to say something. So start thinking about your one word you're going to be allowed to say on the next meeting, okay?
I'm just observing. I got to absorb before I speak. I wouldn't
Well,
want to be presumptuous.
here it is, ignoring somebody new at a meeting as we're talking about doing a bad job of ignoring somebody new people. So thank you all. I'm going to call it good today. It's been a great conversation. Let's hope we have some more in the future. And Sharon, thank you for showing up on a day that I didn't show up and waiting for me and coming back. She came to a meeting that was changed, and I owe you one on that alone. So thank you all for being here very much. Have a good night.
You too.